Sasaki never imagined that at his age, he'd end up being teased constantly by this cool girl who loves smoking. One early morning, Sasaki was reading the newspaper with his glasses on before work when a coworker made fun of him. Even though he was only in his 30s, he was still using an old-fashioned feature phone meant for elderly people. His coworker kept telling him it was time to switch to a modern smartphone like everyone else. Sasaki tried to argue that his old phone was easy to use and durable, but right then, the phone died completely and wouldn't turn back on. He had no choice but to buy a brand new smartphone. Unfortunately, he was totally clueless about modern gadgets. He couldn't even figure out how to exit the camera app, staring helplessly at the screen. He had no option but to ask Tayama to walk him through the basic phone functions step by step. Little did he know, Tayama took this perfect chance to mess with the slow-witted Dashu. She taught him how to close apps and navigate the buttons, and he slowly picked up the basics. But there was still one big problem. The default font was way too small, forcing him to wear glasses just to read the screen, straining his eyes badly. He asked Tayama to enlarge the system font for him. Tayama thought he looked really nice with his glasses on and secretly loved the look, so she deliberately hesitated to change the settings right away. Sasaki thought adjusting the font must be a complicated task. Looking visibly disappointed, seeing his pitiful expression, Tayama finally agreed on one condition. He had to keep his glasses on the whole time. Sasaki agreed without a second thought and handed over the phone. Once she had the phone, Tayama started messing around. She said they should celebrate his progress by saving Miss Yamada's phone number in his contacts. Sasaki panicked immediately, insisting that would be a serious invasion of privacy. Tayama ignored his protests and secretly snapped a photo of his flustered face while he was distracted. Sasaki never had a clue. After adjusting the font size, she handed the phone back, joking that she hadn't done anything else, leaving Sasaki to find out the truth later. Back in the staff break room, Yamada opened her gallery and looked at the photo of Sasaki, feeling much better, then got ready for her shift. The next day during lunch break, a coworker showed Sasaki a popular online personality quiz, which claimed to reveal your true character based on cigarette preferences. The quiz result for his coworker said he was straightforward, loyal, and would never cheat. Sasaki read the fine print and added that it also labeled him slow-minded and socially awkward. His coworker argued that Sasaki was the one who couldn't interact with people properly. That evening, Sasaki told Tayama about the quiz. Tayama knew these kinds of online tests were meaningless and was about to say so, but Sasaki was really curious and showed her his result. It described him as seeming aloof on the surface, yet secretly having a masochistic streak. Tayama burst out laughing and nearly choked on her cigarette. Sasaki then asked to see Tayama's result. She said it labeled her two-faced with intense desires. Sasaki froze completely, shocked by her honest answer. Tayama didn't seem bothered, saying the quiz had gotten at least one thing right. All of a sudden, Sasaki knelt down and apologized profusely, embarrassed that he'd brought up such an awkward topic and made her say such things. Tayama told him it was fine. She didn't mind the quiz itself and knew he hadn't meant any harm. There was no need to keep apologizing when he'd only been trying to make conversation. Sasaki smiled and admitted the quiz had some truth to it, perfectly describing her dual nature, something he'd struggled to put into words before. She playfully held out a cigarette to stop his rambling and pulled out a lighter, asking if he wanted her to light it for him, though she didn't end up doing it. Sasaki couldn't read the mood, and their casual smoke break ended awkwardly. The next evening after work, Sasaki visited the supermarket as usual. He hesitated at the checkout area, wondering if it was fair for a middle-aged man to keep relying on Miss Yamada all the time. He decided to switch to another register, only for Yamada to call out to him. Her usual warm, practiced smile was gone, replaced by clear sadness and hurt that he wanted to leave her line. The store manager walked by and noticed their tense dynamic, instantly sensing romantic tension between the regular customer and the cashier, resolving to keep an eye on them. One extremely hot afternoon, Sasaki finished work on time for once and planned to buy an ice cream to cool down. When he walked into the supermarket, he saw Yamada in her short-sleeve uniform, looking fresh and cool. The heat instantly faded from his body, and he left right away without buying anything. Yamada grew worried and confused about his strange behavior. That night, as Tayama, she met Sasaki in the back smoking area and asked why he'd left so abruptly. Sasaki felt embarrassed, remembering how Tayama had told Yamada about his crush and hesitated to answer. After persistent questioning, he admitted he'd gone in for ice cream, but the calming feeling around Yamada had cooled him off instead. He rambled awkwardly to explain himself, but Tayama saw right through him, asking directly if he thought Yamada looked pretty in her short-sleeved uniform. Caught red-handed, Sasaki blushed and confessed. Tayama smiled, saying she was also wearing short sleeves that day, then removed her outer jacket. Sasaki stared in surprise, and Tayama expected him to look away shyly, but he just stared blankly. Tayama sighed at how incredibly oblivious he was. Just then, Sasaki held out his jacket for her to wear so she wouldn't get cold. She paused, then put it on, keeping it on without giving it back that night. Later, Yamada reflected on Sasaki's different reactions to her two appearances, figuring out his hidden preferences and feeling a little jealous of herself. Sasaki had no idea she knew everything he was thinking. Another evening, Sasaki went to the back smoking area to meet Tayama, only to get soaked by the store manager who was cleaning up spilled milk. The manager quickly apologized, explaining she'd been mopping and hadn't noticed him walk by. Sasaki decided to stay and smoke anyway. He felt nervous around the manager, unlike when he was with Tayama, and thanked her repeatedly for lending him towels and spare pants. The manager told him not to worry since she'd been the one to soak his clothes and said they were actually the same age. Sasaki was stunned, so the manager changed the subject, teasing him about being so surprised by ages and asking if he'd reacted the same way when learning Tayama's age. Sasaki said he'd never asked how old she was. The manager couldn't believe it. They met every single day to smoke. Unbeknownst to Sasaki, Tayama was hiding nearby, listening to the whole conversation. The manager noticed and asked directly if Sasaki was in love with Tayama. Sasaki wouldn't answer and said he definitely didn't dislike her when pressed. As the manager pushed for a clear answer, Tayama stepped out to interrupt. Sasaki was completely flustered. Just then, the manager received a customer complaint call and had to leave. Alone together, Sasaki anxiously asked how much she'd heard. Tayama lied and said she hadn't heard anything, letting him relax. She gently wiped the leftover water from his hair and leaned in slowly, creating a deeply intimate moment. After that, Sasaki worked overtime non-stop for 2 weeks, exhausted and burnt out. When the rainy season arrived, he finally got his first full day off. He ran into Tayama on his way home, and seeing how worn out he looked, she brought him to the smoking area to unwind. A basket of teru teru bozu, traditional Japanese rain dolls, had been placed in the smoking area for good weather, a custom the manager followed every rainy season. Staff and customers could draw on the dolls for wishes. Tayama showed Sasaki the one she'd drawn, then asked him to paint a few more. He agreed and drew one that looked exactly like the manager, stunningly accurate, making Tayama laugh. Next, he drew one of Tayama, also a perfect likeness. He said her distinct features made it easy to draw her. Tayama tried to confess her feelings, but Sasaki still didn't catch on. She drew a doll for him instead. Sasaki praised the sight of the cigarette smoke drifting through the air, not the doll, saying he loved smoking in rainy weather because the smoke looked clearer and felt more peaceful. He hadn't had a moment like this in weeks due to overtime work. Exhausted, Sasaki fell asleep leaning against the wall. Tayama carefully removed the cigarette from his mouth and stayed beside him. When he woke up, he was in his own bed, unsure if the previous night was a dream. He noticed cute little drawings on his hand, clearly drawn by Tayama. He lit a cigarette on his balcony, staring at the doodles, and all his stress faded away. Meanwhile, Tayama had a day off and went grocery shopping. Spotting Sasaki and deciding to tease him, she walked up and spoke to him closely, startling him. He was shocked to see Yamada in casual clothes. She picked up a magazine he'd dropped, which he tucked under his arm as they chatted. When Yamada couldn't pick a snack, Sasaki suggested a cigarette draw method. Match snacks to cigarettes and pick whichever one popped out first. The method worked, and she happily chose the snack. She asked if he used this trick often. He said yes. The first cigarette meant leaving work early. The second meant getting 1 day off a week. And he trailed off before finishing the meaning of the third cigarette. Yamada knew the third wish was about her. After parting ways, Yamada returned to the smoking area, thinking about how oblivious Sasaki was. She made a bet with herself. If the third cigarette popped out, Sasaki would realize her true identity. When she tapped the pack, 4 cigarettes popped out all at once, a strange bad omen. Sasaki realized he'd forgotten to return the magazine and headed back to the supermarket that night. Around the same time, the company's annual physical checkup arrived, and Sasaki needed to cut back on alcohol and cigarettes for the exam, even though he still visited the supermarket daily to see Yamada's comforting smile. During a store promotion, Yamada handed him an alcohol coupon. Sasaki explained he couldn't drink while preparing for his health checkup. Later, she changed back to Tayama and waited for him in the smoking area, joking about him still smoking before a medical exam. Sasaki was shocked she knew about the checkup. Tayama felt frustrated that all her hints still hadn't clicked for him. They talked about quitting smoking, and she asked if he could stop if a doctor told him to. Sasaki hesitated, unsure what he would do. For the next while, he ate healthier meals and cut down on smoking and drinking, waiting for his test results. Yamada smiled normally at work, yet felt terrified he might quit smoking entirely and stop visiting the back smoking area. When the results arrived, Sasaki visited Tayama that night with a grave expression. He told her the doctor recommended further detailed scans, suspecting a serious lung issue that might be cancer. Yamada was devastated, convinced they could no longer meet secretly at the back smoking area. The manager advised her that they didn't have to meet only out back. She could connect with him openly at the front register and stop hiding her identity. That night, Yamada waited for Sasaki, but he walked past without stopping. So she stopped him to talk. They sat down, Tayama lighting a cigarette while Sasaki held one unlit, worried their quiet smoke breaks were over. He was about to suggest meeting at the main store instead. Sasaki's phone suddenly rang from the medical clinic. They told him there had been a mix-up with the test samples, and his lungs were perfectly healthy with no problems at all. Both of them felt immense relief, thrilled they could keep spending time together as before. When Sasaki asked what important thing she'd wanted to say, Tayama changed the subject again, delaying revealing the truth. Soon after, the manager asked Yamada to star in the supermarket's official promotional campaign. She was reluctant, having done promotions before, but the manager insisted. She'd been nominated again for the Best Customer Service Smile Award. The manager recalled her difficult past. 8 years prior, Yamada had worked a part-time shift at the supermarket. She was quiet and reserved, receiving constant customer complaints about her stiff, unfriendly demeanor. No matter how hard she practiced the standard customer smile, she couldn't be warm enough, and one rude customer repeatedly harassed and verbally abused her. She was extremely vulnerable and close to breaking down until a regular customer stepped in to defend her and chase the troublemaker away. That kind stranger was Sasaki. Back then, he always smoked by the front ashtray after shopping, until the area became smoke-free and the ashtray was removed. He stopped coming, and Yamada never found out his name, only remembering him smoking outside the store. This is the core story of two people smoking in the back of the supermarket.